Stella, why don't you eat in the kitchen? There isn't enough room at the table. Gertrude Cole pointed at the dining table, which was clearly half empty. An 8-seat table with only 4 people sitting at it. Stella Reed stood there, stunned, staring at the New Year's Eve dinner she had spent an entire week preparing. "Mom, how is there no room?" Jasper Cole asked quietly. "Milo from next door might stop by," Gertrude replied without even looking up. Stella put down her chopsticks, dragged her suitcase, and went back to her parents' place. "Don't stop her," Gertrude said coldly. No one expected that 1 week later, everyone else would be left completely stunned. 01. Late December, a week before New Year's Eve. Stella got up early as usual. There was still some leftover holiday candy in the kitchen, but she had already started working on her shopping list for the New Year's Eve dinner. "Jasper, what kind of fish does your mom like again?" Stella held a pen, jotting things down on paper. Jasper was on his phone, barely paying attention. "Just grab something random." "She's not picky. How can it be random? This is our second New Year's Eve dinner since we got married." Stella spoke seriously, a quiet determination shining in her eyes like she was trying to prove something. They had been married for 2 years, and she had lived with his family the entire time. When they bought this 3-bedroom house, she had paid for half of it. Yet in this home, she always felt like a guest. "Stella, what are you fussing over now?" Gertrude came downstairs, frowned at the stacks of shopping lists spread across the table. "I'm planning the New Year's Eve menu," Stella said. "No need to make it so complicated. Just cook a few dishes." Gertrude picked up the list, glanced at it, then shook her head. "Don't buy this. It's too expensive." "Mom, it's New Year's. It should be a little more special," Stella said carefully. "Special for what? We're not hosting a party. It's just a family meal." Gertrude set the list aside and turned toward the kitchen. Stella stared at the abandoned list, a bitter feeling rising in her chest. Last year's New Year's Eve dinner had been too simple, and Gertrude criticized her for not knowing how to manage a household. Now she wanted to do it properly, and she was told she was making a fuss. "Stella, don't mind my mom." Lola Cole came downstairs yawning. "She's just like that. Always wants to control everything." Lola was 26. She had quit her job 3 months earlier and was now staying home, fully supported by her parents. "Lola, help out a bit. Let's prepare the New Year's Eve dinner together." "I don't know how to cook." "Just do it yourself." Lola plopped down on the couch and grabbed the remote. Stella sighed, gathered her list, and got ready to head out. "Where are you going?" Gertrude leaned out from the kitchen. "To buy groceries for the New Year's Eve dinner." "Buy what groceries? There's food in the fridge already." "Mom, that's just everyday stuff. New Year's Eve dinner should be different." "Different how?" "Having food at all is good enough." Gertrude walked over, clearly impatient. "You young people just love making things complicated." Stella wanted to explain, but seeing Gertrude's expression, she swallowed her words and walked out with the list. The farmer's market was packed, full of people stocking up for the holidays. Stella carefully selected every ingredient. Fresh sea bass, tender poached chicken, crisp green vegetables. She wanted to use these ingredients to make a New Year's Eve dinner that everyone would enjoy. When she got home, Gertrude's expression darkened at the sight of all the shopping bags. "Why did you buy so much?" "What a waste of money." "Mom, these are all necessary. The New Year's Eve dinner can't be too plain." "Necessary? We never bought this much in our family before." Gertrude rummaged through the bags as she spoke. "Why is this fish so expensive?" "It's wild-caught sea bass. The meat is more tender." "Wild-caught or not, fish is just fish." Gertrude shook her head, clearly dissatisfied. Over the next few days, Stella began preparing the New Year's Eve dinner in earnest. She got up at 5 every morning to handle the ingredients. The chicken needed blanching, the fish needed marinating, the vegetables had to be washed one by one. Every time Gertrude passed through the kitchen, she had something to say. "Your knife skills aren't good enough. The cuts are uneven. You're not controlling the heat properly. It'll burn. Young people are too impatient. You can't do anything right." Stella listened in silence, the sense of grievance piling up inside her. She wanted to prove herself. She wanted to be acknowledged. But no matter how hard she tried, nothing ever met Gertrude's standards. As for Jasper, he stayed completely out of it, as always. "Mom's right. Don't tire yourself out," was the only response he ever gave. Stella looked at herself working nonstop, then glanced at Lola watching TV in the living room. Both were members of the same household, yet they were treated completely differently. "Stella, come here for a moment." Gertrude called to her from behind. "Yes, Mom. I want to ask you, when are you planning to have a baby?" The question again. They had been married 2 years, and Gertrude brought it up every few days. "We're not ready yet." "What do you mean not ready? You've been married for 2 years. Gertrude's tone sharpened. "Other people have kids within the first year. Everyone's situation is different." "What's different? You just don't want one," Gertrude said bluntly. "Let me be clear. We need a child in the Cole family." Stella felt like she couldn't breathe. She wanted to say something, but in the end she stayed silent. "Especially a boy. The Cole family name has to continue," Gertrude went on. "If you don't want kids, say it now. Don't waste Jasper's time." The words cut straight into Stella's heart like a knife. So this was her place in this family. Not a daughter-in-law, just a tool for having children. "Mom, I'll get back to work," Stella said quietly, turning back toward the kitchen, her eyes burning with tears. She wiped them away hard and kept working. The New Year's Eve preparations continued, but her mood had completely changed. Lola walked into the kitchen and noticed Stella's red eyes. "Stella, did you cry?" "No. The onions just irritated my eyes," Stella said quickly. "Did my mom say something again?" Lola seemed to guess. "It's nothing. Go rest." "Don't take what my mom says too seriously," Lola said, surprisingly gentle. "She's just sharp-tongued." "I know." Stella forced a smile, but deep down she knew it wasn't just about temperament. It was rejection, disapproval of who she was. No matter how hard she tried, in Gertrude's eyes, she would never be good enough. On New Year's Eve, Stella started working at 6 in the morning. She was making 8 dishes, each one prepared with care. Braised sea bass, poached chicken, garlic sautéed greens, sweet and sour ribs. Every dish carried her effort and heart. Gertrude came into the kitchen from time to time, always finding faults. "This fish is too bland. The chicken skin isn't crispy enough. The vegetables are overcooked." Stella adjusted everything while silently enduring it all. She kept telling herself it was for the family, for a good New Year's Eve dinner. By 3 in the afternoon, all the dishes were done. Her back ached, her legs were sore, but seeing the full table still gave her a sense of accomplishment. "Stella, you've worked hard," Harold Cole said, offering rare praise. It was the first kind word she had heard in days. "Dad, it's what I should do." Her eyes glistened, but she smiled. At 6 in the evening, the New Year's Eve dinner officially began. Stella checked every dish one last time, making sure everything was perfect. She changed into a new red sweater she had bought for the occasion, wanting to face this important moment at her best. This was the New Year's Eve dinner she had poured her heart into, and her chance to finally prove herself. At exactly 6 o'clock in the evening, Stella carried the last dish to the table. 8 dishes were arranged neatly, the aroma filling the room. "Dinner's ready." She wiped the grease from her hands, her face lit with anticipation. Harold was the first to sit down, picking up his chopsticks. "Dad, wait, let's eat together," Stella said quickly, stopping him. Jasper and Lola soon joined the table as well. Only Gertrude was still in the living room, tidying up. "Mom, dinner's ready," Jasper called out. "I'm coming." Gertrude walked over and glanced at the full table. "Why did you make so much?" "We won't finish it. It's a waste." Even so, she sat down in her usual seat. Just as Stella was about to sit, Gertrude suddenly stood up. "Stella, go eat in the kitchen." Stella froze. "Mom, why?" "There's no room at the table." Gertrude pointed at it. Stella looked down. It was an 8-seat table with only 4 people sitting there. "Mom, the table is huge." "How is there no room? Milo from next door might come over," Gertrude said without lifting her head. "Which Milo?" Stella had no idea who she was talking about. "The Parker family's son next door. He's 28 and still single," Gertrude said, glancing at Lola. Stella instantly understood. This was about setting Lola up with someone. Mom, even so, I don't need to eat in the kitchen. He's a guest. It's more appropriate for you to eat in the kitchen. Gertrude's tone was calm, as if this were perfectly reasonable. Stella felt dizzy. She stood there, still holding the plate from the last dish. Jasper, say something. She looked at him, her eyes full of quiet desperation. Jasper kept his head down, clearly unwilling to get involved. Mom, how is there no room? He asked softly without any firmness. I said there's no room, so there's no room. Gertrude's tone hardened. Stella, go eat in the kitchen. Stop dragging this out. I'm not going. Stella finally spoke, her voice trembling. What did you say? Gertrude's eyes widened. She clearly hadn't expected resistance. I said I'm not eating in the kitchen. Stella's voice grew louder. I made all these dishes. Why should I eat in the kitchen? So what if you made them? You're just a daughter-in-law. Gertrude stood up as well, her voice sharp. You should act like one. What does acting like one even mean? Stella clutched her chest as pain surged through it. I've been busy since 6 this morning, all so everyone could have a good New Year's Eve dinner. That's what you're supposed to do. Why is it supposed to be me? Tears finally streamed down Stella's face. I'm part of this family too. Why can't I eat with everyone? You're an outsider. What part of the family? Gertrude's words cut like a knife straight into Stella's heart. The dining room fell silent. Harold set down his chopsticks. Lola stopped scrolling on her phone. Everyone stared at Stella. An outsider? Stella repeated softly. I'm an outsider. You've always been one. You married in. You're still an outsider. Gertrude said bluntly. Outsiders should know their place. Mom, that's too much. Jasper finally said, but his voice was weak. What's too much? Did I say anything wrong? Gertrude looked at her son. She is an outsider. Am I wrong? Stella looked at the family before her. Her father-in-law said nothing. Her partner hesitated, wanting to speak but not daring to. Her sister-in-law pretended not to hear. Only Gertrude stood there, confidently labeling her an outsider. Fine, I'm an outsider. Stella wiped her tears, her voice suddenly calm. Since I'm an outsider, I won't interrupt your family dinner. She set the plate down on the table and turned toward the stairs. Stella, where are you going? Jasper stood up. To the bedroom, she replied without turning back. What for? To pack. Those 4 words stunned everyone in the dining room. What are you doing? Jasper chased after her to the stairs. I'm leaving. Her voice was calm, but the resolve in it was chilling. You're leaving? Where do you think you can go? Gertrude shouted from below. If you've got the nerve, don't come back. Stella paused for a second, then continued upstairs. She pushed open the bedroom door and pulled out the suitcase she'd bought when they got married. For 2 years, it had been buried at the back of the closet. She had never imagined she'd take it out again. But now, she was using it to pack up her life. Gertrude's voice floated up from downstairs. Stop putting on a show. She'll be back in a couple of days. Stella ignored her and kept packing. Clothes, makeup, books, a few keepsakes. Everything that had carried her life for the past 2 years, now she was taking it all with her. Stella, don't be impulsive. Jasper pushed the door open and saw her packing. I'm not being impulsive, Stella said without looking up. I've thought this through. Thought what through? I've figured out my place in this house. She stopped and looked at him. I'm an outsider, right? My mom just has a sharp tongue. Don't take it to heart. Sharp tongue? Stella let out a cold laugh. She made it very clear, I'm an outsider. Stella, don't do this. Jasper tried to stop her from packing. We can sit down and talk. Talk about what? Stella looked at him. Talk about why I couldn't eat New Year's Eve dinner with you? That's not what? She cut him off. This is exactly how your family sees me. She kept packing, moving quickly. 2 years of life didn't amount to much in the end. Stella, listen to me. Jasper sat on the edge of the bed. My mom just wanted to introduce someone to Lola. That's all. So to introduce someone to your sister, I have to eat in the kitchen? Stella stopped and looked at him. Do you honestly think that makes sense? This? Jasper had no answer, and from start to finish, you didn't stand up for me once. Tears rolled down Stella's face again. I'm your girl. Why didn't you protect me? You what? Stella wiped her tears. You don't see me as your girl at all? I'm just someone your mom vents her anger on. That's not true. Then what is the truth? Stella snapped the suitcase shut. Tell me, what is it? Jasper opened his mouth but couldn't say a word. He knew she was right. In this house, he had never stood on her side. Jasper, don't let her go. Harold's voice came from downstairs. But Jasper just sat there, silent. Stella looked at him, and the last trace of hope disappeared. All right, I get it. She pulled her suitcase toward the door. Stella, don't go. Jasper finally stood up. Give me one reason to stay. She stopped at the door, her back to him. Tell me why I shouldn't leave. Jasper wanted to speak, but swallowed his words. He didn't know what to say, because he knew what happened tonight really was too much. But he also didn't want to confront his mother. No reason, right? Stella gave a bitter smile. Then I'm leaving. She dragged her suitcase downstairs, Jasper following behind. In the living room, Gertrude was still talking to Lola. Mom, Stella's leaving, Jasper said, panicked. So let her go. Who cares? Gertrude replied without looking up. Stella reached the door and turned back for one last look at the house. The New Year's Eve dinner she had poured her heart into sat untouched on the table, but she no longer wanted to sit there. Stella, are you really leaving? Harold stood up. Dad, thank you for taking care of me these past 2 years. Stella bowed. If there's a chance, I'll come visit you again. Stella, don't go. Harold tried to stop her. Dad, I have to go, Stella said firmly. I can't keep wronging myself like this. What kind of wronging? It was just eating in the kitchen? Gertrude finally spoke. Is this really worth making such a big deal? Stella looked at her but said nothing. She opened the door and dragged her suitcase outside. Light snow was falling, a thin layer already covering the ground. She stood in the snow and looked back at the house she had lived in for 2 years. It held her youth, her tears, and her hopes. But now, all of it was over. 03. Stella stood on the snow-filled street, dragging her suitcase behind her. She took out her phone and was about to call a cab. Stella, wait. Jasper ran after her, still wearing his house clothes. What are you doing? Stella didn't turn around, continuing to tap on her phone. Don't leave. Let's go back and talk this through. Jasper reached out to grab her hand. Talk about what? Stella shook him off. About how I should have eaten in the kitchen? That's not what I mean. Then what do you mean? Stella finally turned to face him. Tell me, what do you mean? Jasper stood there in the snow, his lips turning purple from the cold. My mom just acted on impulse. Don't take it to heart. Impulse? Stella let out a cold laugh. Calling me an outsider? That was impulse too? Stella, listen to my explanation. Explain what? She stared at him. Explain why you didn't stand up for me. I mean, you what? Her voice rose. I'm your partner. Why didn't you protect me? I didn't want the family to fall apart, Jasper said softly. So sacrificing me was fine? Stella felt a chill in her heart. In your mind, I'm the one who can be sacrificed? That's not what I meant. Then what did you mean? She wiped away her tears. Say it. What did you mean? Jasper had no answer. He knew she was right, but he didn't know how to change anything. In this house, he had grown up obeying his mother. Stella, don't go. Let's go back and talk. Talk about what? She looked at him. Talk about how I should be a proper outsider. You're not an outsider. If I'm not an outsider, why couldn't I eat New Year's Eve dinner with you? Her tears fell again. I spent an entire week preparing that dinner. Why couldn't I sit at the table? Jasper opened his mouth but said nothing. He knew it had gone too far, but he didn't know what to do. Jasper, bring her back inside. Harold came out of the house, a down jacket thrown over his shoulders. Dad, go back in. It's cold, Stella said, her voice softening when she saw him. Stella, don't leave. Harold walked up to her. We're family. There's nothing we can't talk through. Dad, I know you've been good to me. Stella wiped her tears. But I really can't take this anymore. Can't take what? My place in this family? She looked at him steadily. I tried for 2 years, and I'm still treated like an outsider. Who's treating you like an outsider? Your wife. Stella gave a bitter smile. She said it herself. Harold sighed. He knew his wife had crossed a line tonight. Stella, don't take it personally. Dad, I'm not trying to argue with her, Stella said quietly. I just want basic respect. What kind of respect? The respect of eating New Year's Eve dinner with my family. Her voice choked. I cooked for a week just to spend the holiday together. I know. Harold patted her shoulder. You've worked hard. Then if you know that, Stella asked softly, why didn't anyone speak up for me? Why do I always have to endure it? Harold didn't know how to answer. In this house, he too had grown used to giving in. Stella, don't go. I'll talk to her. No, Dad. Stella shook her head. I've already made my decision. At that moment, a cab pulled up. The driver honked lightly. Stella, are you really leaving? Jasper looked at the cab and finally realized she meant it. I'm leaving. She dragged her suitcase toward the car. Where are you going? Back to my parents' place. She opened the door and loaded her suitcase. Stella, don't be impulsive. Jasper tried to stop her. We can talk tomorrow. There's nothing left to talk about. She got in and shut the door. Sir, please go, she said to the driver. Where to? 217 Maple Street. The car pulled away slowly. Sitting in the back seat, Stella watched the snow drift past the window. She remembered another winter 2 years ago, riding in a similar car, coming to the Cole house for the first time. Back then, she had been full of hope, believing she had found her forever home. Now she was leaving that home in the same way. Miss, why are you traveling alone with a suitcase on a holiday like this? The driver glanced at her in the rearview mirror. I'm going home, Stella answered simply. Ah, that's good. Going home is good, the driver smiled. Holidays are for being with family. Stella gave a faint smile and said nothing. Family? She no longer knew what that word meant. The car drove through the snowy night. The streets were quiet. Most people were at home, sharing New Year's Eve dinner with their families. Only her, choosing to leave on a night like this. Miss, are you okay? The driver noticed her wiping her eyes. I'm fine. Thank you. She forced a smile. Whatever it is, try to think positively. It's the holidays. Stay cheerful. I will. Stella nodded and turned back to the window. 20 minutes later, the cab stopped at 217 Maple Street. It was an old apartment building. Her parents lived on the third floor. How much? $32. Stella paid, got out, and dragged her suitcase to the building entrance. She looked up at the familiar third-floor window. The lights were on. Her parents were probably having dinner. She took a deep breath and started climbing the stairs. The suitcase thumped loudly on each step, echoing through the quiet stairwell. At the third floor, she stopped at the door, hesitated, then rang the bell. Who is it? Her mother, Margaret's voice came from inside. Mom, it's me. Stella? The door opened. Margaret froze when she saw her daughter standing there with a suitcase. Stella, why are you back? Mom, I want to stay home for a few days. Her voice trembled. Come in. It's cold outside. Margaret quickly pulled her inside. Stella's back? Her father, Stanley, came out of the living room and froze as well. Dad? Stella called out and broke down. What happened? Why are you crying? Margaret rushed to her side. Did you argue with Jasper? Mom, I don't want to talk about it. Stella wiped her tears. I just want to stay home for a few days. Of course. Staying home is good. Stanley said immediately, this will always be your home. Hearing that, Stella completely lost control. She hugged her father tightly and sobbed. Dad, I feel awful. Don't cry. We'll talk it through. Stanley patted her back gently. You're home now. That's what matters. Margaret watched her daughter cry, her own heart aching. Stella, go take a shower first. Then eat something. Mom, I don't feel like eating. You have to. Look how thin you are. Margaret held her hand. I'll make you something good. I really don't want to eat. Then get some rest first. We'll talk tomorrow, Stanley said, noticing how unstable she was. Your room is still the same. Nothing's been touched. Stella nodded and dragged her suitcase to her old bedroom. When she opened the door, everything looked exactly the same as 2 years ago. The desk, the bed, the curtains. She sat on the bed, looking around the room that had grown up with her. Here, she was her parents' precious daughter. She didn't need to prove anything. She didn't need to endure anything. She just needed to be herself. Stella, rest early if you're tired. Margaret sat beside her. We'll talk tomorrow. Mom, am I useless? Stella looked at her. Did I do something wrong? You did nothing wrong. Margaret hugged her tightly. You're my best daughter. Then why? Why? What? Why do I try so hard and still never get recognized? Tears fell again. Silly girl. Margaret stroked her hair. Not everyone will recognize your effort, but your dad and I always will. Mom. All right. Don't overthink it. Margaret squeezed her hand. Get some rest. We'll talk tomorrow. Stella nodded as her mother left the room. She lay on the bed, staring at the ceiling. Everything that had happened that day replayed in her mind like a movie. From the careful preparation of the New Year's Eve dinner to her final, resolute departure. She knew one thing for sure. Nothing would ever go back to how it was. 04. The next day was the first day of the Lunar New Year. Stella slept in until she woke up naturally. It was the first time in 2 years that she didn't have to get up early to prepare breakfast for the whole family. Stella, get up and eat, Margaret said softly, knocking on the door. I'm coming, Mom. Stella got up, washed up, and walked into the living room. On the table were her favorite small wontons, along with pickles her mother had made herself. Mom, why did you get up so early? Stella asked. I'm used to it, Margaret replied. Got up early to make you something nice to eat. She sat across from her daughter. It's the same flavor you liked when you were little. Stella took a bite, and tears immediately welled up in her eyes. What's wrong? Doesn't it taste good? Margaret asked anxiously. No, Stella said, wiping her tears. It's too good. I'd almost forgotten this taste. Silly child, Margaret said gently. This is your mother's cooking. How could you forget? She looked at her daughter with concern. Did you suffer over there? Mom, I don't want to talk about that. All right, we won't, Margaret nodded. You can stay at home as long as you want. Mom, I want to find a job, Stella suddenly said. A job? Yes. I want to start working again. She looked at her mother. I don't want to be a full-time housewife anymore. Then what about Jasper? I don't know. Stella shook her head. Right now, I just want to live for myself at least once. At the same time, the atmosphere in the Cole household was just as strange. After Stella left the day before, no one had any appetite for the New Year's Eve dinner. Gertrude put on a tough front. If she wants to leave, let her. Who cares? But neither Jasper nor Harold said a word. Especially Jasper. His mind was filled with his wife's words all night. She was right. He really hadn't protected her. In this family, he was used to listening to his mother, used to smoothing things over. But this time, he realized he might have been wrong. Jasper, call Stella and ask her to come back, Harold said during breakfast. Dad, I called her last night. She didn't answer, Jasper said with a bitter smile. I called again this morning. Still no answer. If she won't answer, forget it. Let her cool down for a few days, Gertrude said. She'll come back in a couple of days. Mom, what you said yesterday was too much, Jasper said, rare defiance in his voice. What did I say that was wrong? Gertrude snapped. You told Stella to eat in the kitchen. Was that appropriate? Jasper looked at her. She spent a whole week preparing the New Year's Eve dinner. That's what she's supposed to do. Why is it supposed to be her job? Jasper raised his voice. She's also a member of this family. What member? Gertrude put down her bowl. She's just a daughter-in-law. A daughter-in-law should know her place. What place? The awareness of serving the family, Gertrude said righteously. That's how I lived back then. Mom, times are different now, Jasper said, shaking his head. Women today won't wrong themselves like that. Then let her leave. Who cares? Gertrude showed no sign of remorse. Our Jasper is so outstanding. What kind of woman couldn't he find? Harold listened silently. But he knew in his heart that Stella was a good girl. Over the past 2 years, she had truly given a lot to this family. Now that she had been forced away, he didn't feel good about it either. Jasper, try again. Call Stella, Harold said. Dad, I tried. She won't answer. Then send her a message, or go to her parents' place to find her. Harold looked at his son. You can't just let it end like this. Yeah, brother. Go find my sister-in-law, Lola chimed in. I think she's a really nice person. You're all taking her side, Gertrude said unhappily. I just told her to eat in the kitchen. What's the big deal? Mom, this isn't about eating, Jasper said seriously. It's about respect. Respect for whom? Respect for Stella. As he spoke, Jasper picked up his phone and called his wife again. Still no answer. He sent a message. Stella, how are you? Let's talk. After a long time, a reply finally came. I'm fine. Thank you for your concern. Just those few words. Nothing more. Jasper stared at the message, his emotions in turmoil. He knew his wife was truly angry, and this time, the anger might be far greater than he had imagined. Over the next few days, Stella stayed at her parents' home. She slept in every day, chatted with her parents, watched TV. Sometimes she went out to buy groceries and cooked dishes she liked. This kind of life gave her a long-lost sense of ease. Stella, what are you planning to do? Margaret asked on the 5th day. Mom, I want to find a job. And Jasper? I don't know. Stella shook her head. I don't want to think about that right now. But you're still husband and wife. Mom, I need time, Stella said calmly. I need to think about whether this marriage is still worth continuing. Stella, don't be impulsive. I'm not, she replied quietly. I've thought it through. At the same time, she began submitting resumes online. 2 years as a full-time housewife hadn't completely disconnected her from the workplace. She had kept up with industry trends and continued learning new skills. Now, she wanted to return to work. Not for money, but to prove her own value. To prove that she wasn't just a daughter-in-law who knew how to cook. Jasper, meanwhile, was suffering through these days as well. He sent messages to his wife every day, but the replies were always brief. I'm fine. Thanks for your concern. We can talk about things later. These cold responses made him realize her determination. She wasn't throwing a tantrum. She was seriously reconsidering their marriage. Jasper, go to Stella's place and see her, Harold suggested. Apologize in person. I went, Jasper said with a bitter laugh. Her mom said she doesn't want to see me. Then wait downstairs. Dad, I waited for 2 hours. She never came out. He shook his head. She's determined to avoid me. This is all your mother's doing, Harold sighed. A perfectly good New Year's Eve dinner, ruined like this. Dad, there's no point saying that now. Then what do you plan to do? I don't know, Jasper admitted. I've never seen Stella this resolute. Then let her calm down for a while, Harold said helplessly. Wait until her anger fades, then think of a way. But deep down, he knew this time it might not be so simple. Stella's reaction exceeded everyone's expectations. She wasn't sulking, she was re-examining the marriage. A week passed, and both sides gradually calmed down. Stella found a long-lost sense of security at her parents' home. Jasper, on the other hand, began reflecting on his own problems in the marriage. But no one expected that Stella's next move would shock everyone. 05. On the morning of the 8th day, Stella received a phone call. Hello, is this Ms. Stella? Yes, speaking. May I ask who's calling? This is the HR manager from Wawalian Consulting, regarding the resume you submitted. Stella's eyes lit up. Hello. We're very interested in your background. May we schedule an interview? Of course. Tomorrow at 2 p.m. And Octo. Would that work for you? Yes, that's fine. After hanging up, Stella was filled with excitement. It was the first resume she had sent out, and she had received a response so quickly. The interview the next day went smoothly. Her professional competence was recognized, and she was hired on the spot. Ms. Stella, you can start work next Monday, the HR manager said with a smile. The salary is $12,000. How does that sound? That's wonderful. Thank you so much, Stella said excitedly, shaking her hand. A salary of $12,000, higher than Jasper's. As she walked out of the office building, Stella felt an unprecedented sense of relief. She took out her phone and sent Jasper a message. Tomorrow at 3 p.m. Let's meet and talk about us. Jasper replied quickly. Okay. Where? Starbucks. All right. I'll be there on time. Stella stared at the reply and took a deep breath. The next afternoon, Stella arrived at the cafe right on time. She was dressed in professional attire with light makeup, looking composed and energetic. Jasper was already there, visibly nervous. Stella, you're here, he said, standing up and reaching out as if to hug her. Stella merely nodded and sat down across from him. Let's talk, she said calmly, without any emotional fluctuation. Stella, I know what happened that day was our fault, Jasper began apologetically. Especially my mom. She went too far. And then? Stella asked. I've already talked to her and asked her to apologize to you. Will she? Stella let out a cold laugh. Will she admit she was wrong? Well, Jasper fell silent. He knew his mother's temperament. Getting her to apologize was nearly impossible. Jasper, we've been married for 2 years, Stella said, looking at him. What do you think my position is in your family? You're my wife, a member of our family. Really? Of course. Then why did your mother say I'm an outsider? Stella's voice grew agitated. Why couldn't I eat the New Year's Eve dinner with all of you? Stella, my mom was just confused for a moment. A moment of confusion? She shook her head. Jasper, this isn't about momentary confusion. Then what is it about? It's about your family's attitude toward me, Stella said steadily. From the day we got married until now, how many grievances have I endured in your house? Stella, I know you've suffered. You know? She gave a bitter laugh. If you knew, why didn't you protect me? Every time your mom and I had a conflict, you told me to endure it. Stella's tears began to fall. You never asked who was right or wrong, just told me to endure. I didn't want there to be conflict in the family, Jasper said quietly. So sacrificing me was acceptable? Stella wiped her tears. In your heart, am I the one who can always be sacrificed? That's not what I meant. Then what did you mean? She stared at him. Tell me, what did you mean? Jasper opened his mouth, but no words came out. He knew she was right, yet he didn't know how to change. Jasper, I want to ask you something, Stella said solemnly. Do you love me? Of course I do. Then why didn't you protect me? If you love someone, shouldn't you protect her? Stella looked at him. Shouldn't you make her feel safe? Stella, I'll change. Change what? I'll protect you. I'll speak up for you, Jasper said urgently. Give me another chance, okay? Jasper, I've already given you many chances. Stella shook her head. In these 2 years, I've given you countless chances. Stella, this time is different. How is it different? I've realized my own problems, Jasper said earnestly. I know I did wrong. So what if you know? Stella's voice was calm. Will you really change? I will. Are you sure? I'm sure, Jasper nodded. Please give me a chance. Stella looked at him and remained silent for a long time. Jasper, I need to tell you something. What is it? I found a job. Jasper froze. What? I found a job. I start next Monday, she said calmly. The salary is $12,000. Stella, I want financial independence, Stella said, meeting his eyes. I don't want to depend on anyone anymore. Why do you have to do this? Because I want to live for myself, she said firmly. I want to prove my own worth. Stella, let's go home. Jasper reached for her hand. We can talk things through properly at home. Jasper, there's one more thing I need to tell you. She looked at him steadily. I've consulted a lawyer. What? Jasper was even more shocked. Why did you consult a lawyer? About the division of property? Stella said, taking a document out of her bag. This is a list of our jointly owned assets. Stella, what are you trying to do? I want the part that rightfully belongs to me, she said calmly. I paid for half of the house. I have the right to ask for a division. Stella, are you asking for a divorce? Jasper's voice trembled. Do you really want a divorce? That depends on your attitude, Stella replied evenly. And on your family's attitude as well. What attitude? Their attitude toward me, she said firmly. If I'm still considered an outsider, then there's no reason to continue. Stella, you're not an outsider. Then prove it to me. Stella stood up. I'll give you 1 week to think. Think about what? Think about our future. Holding the documents, she said, 1 week from now, I want an answer. What kind of answer? Either your family changes the way they treat me, or we separate, Stella said, looking straight at him. There is no third option. With that, she turned and walked out of the cafe. Jasper sat there staring at his wife's retreating figure, completely stunned. He had never imagined she would be so resolute. She wasn't throwing a tantrum. She was seriously weighing this marriage, and she had already prepared for her future. A job, a lawyer, property division. All of it showed that she was serious. Jasper looked at the documents on the table, his hands trembling slightly. He knew this time they had truly reached a critical moment. If he handled it poorly, he might really lose his wife. 06. Holding the property inventory in his hands, Jasper returned home in a daze. In the living room, Gertrude was watching TV with Lola. Jasper, you're back? Gertrude noticed something was off about her son's expression. What's wrong? Mom, Stella wants a divorce. Jasper sat down on the sofa and placed the documents on the coffee table. What? Gertrude froze. What did she say? She said she wants a divorce, and she wants to divide the property. Jasper pointed at the papers on the table. This is what she prepared with a lawyer. She dares? Gertrude picked up the documents and skimmed through them. On what grounds does she want to divide the property? Mom, she paid for half of the house. So what? Legally, she has the right to demand a division, Jasper said, looking at his mother. That's what the lawyer said. Gertrude read more carefully, her face growing darker by the second. The house was now worth $2 million. If divided, Stella could take $1 million. The renovation cost $200,000. Furniture and appliances, another $100,000. She was entitled to half of those too. And the car, although registered under Jasper's name, was purchased after marriage. How can she do this? Gertrude trembled with anger. Is she trying to drain our family dry? Mom, this is her right. Jasper let out a bitter smile. It's stipulated in the marriage law. What right? The right to marital joint property. Jasper looked at her steadily. Didn't you say she's an outsider? If an outsider leaves, of course she takes what belongs to her. Gertrude was left speechless. She never imagined that a remark said in anger would lead to such serious consequences. Brother, is sister-in-law really getting a divorce? Lola glanced at the papers, worry creeping in. Then our family will what? We'll have to give up half the property? Lola calculated quickly. That's more than $1 million. It's not just $1 million. Jasper shook his head. Stella has found a job now, $12,000 a month. What? Gertrude was even more shocked. She found a job. Yes, she starts next Monday, Jasper said, looking at her. Didn't you say she was useless? Her salary is higher than mine. How is that possible? Mom, Stella is a college graduate with work experience, Jasper replied. Just because she stayed at home these 2 years doesn't mean she has no ability. Gertrude sat on the sofa, stunned. She had always believed that once Stella left this family, she would be nothing. She never expected her to find a job so easily, let alone with such a high salary. Mom, do you see it now? Jasper looked at her. Stella isn't the kind of person you imagined. What do you mean? She's not someone who just endures everything in silence. Jasper gave a bitter smile. She's capable of living independently. She doesn't need to rely on us. Then why does she want a divorce? Because she gets no respect in this family, Jasper said quietly. When you told her to eat in the kitchen, she felt humiliated. It was just eating in the kitchen. Mom, put yourself in her shoes, Jasper said. If you went to someone else's house and they told you to eat in the kitchen, how would you feel? Gertrude thought about it and fell silent. She knew that if it were her, she would be furious too. And Stella worked for an entire week to prepare that New Year's Eve dinner. Jasper continued. Yet she wasn't allowed to eat with everyone. Of course she felt wronged. Gertrude wanted to argue, but she didn't know what to say. Mom, think carefully. How many grievances has Stella endured in our family these past 2 years? Jasper looked at her. Every time you told her to endure it, never asking who was right or wrong. When did I do that? You did. Jasper shook his head. Every time you had a conflict with her, you said she was being unreasonable. She is unreasonable. What do you mean by unreasonable? Jasper looked at her. She does housework, cooks, takes care of the whole family. How is that unreasonable? She won't have children. Mom, having children is a matter for two people. Jasper said angrily. You can't always blame her. Then why doesn't she have them? Because she feels she has no status in this family. Jasper said quietly. She's afraid that if she has a child, the child will suffer the same way she does. Gertrude froze. She had never thought about it from that angle. And think about it. If Stella really divorces me, what benefit is there for our family? Jasper asked. We'll have to pay her over $1 million, and we'll lose a daughter-in-law who can earn money. A daughter-in-law who can earn money, yes, Jasper said. Her salary is higher than mine. If she doesn't divorce me, our household income will be $24,000 a month. $24,000? Lola did the math. That's over $280,000 a year. Exactly. And Stella is good at managing money, Jasper continued. These past 2 years, she helped our family save quite a bit. How much? $300,000, Jasper said. Without Stella, there's no way our family could have saved that much. Hearing this, Gertrude began to reassess Stella. She had always thought Stella was just a housewife who could cook. She never realized she had so many strengths. Mom, do you understand now? Jasper looked at her. Stella isn't a burden to us. She's an asset. Then what should we do now? Gertrude began to panic. Will she really divorce you? She will. Jasper nodded. She's already prepared everything. Then won't we lose a lot of money? It's not just about money, Jasper said softly. Who will take care of us in the future? Take care of us? Mom, think about it. If I remarry, will a new wife treat you the way Stella did? Jasper said. Even though Stella had conflicts with you, she never treated you badly in daily life. Gertrude thought about it. It was true. Stella might talk back sometimes, but she never neglected her. Grocery shopping, cooking, laundry, she did everything well. And Lola doesn't have a job right now. We're supporting her. Jasper glanced at his sister. If Stella leaves, our financial pressure will be even greater. Brother, you mean? I mean, we need Stella, Jasper said firmly. Not just me, our whole family needs her. Gertrude sat on the sofa, seriously thinking it through. If Stella really divorced Jasper, what would they lose? First, over $1 million in property. Second, $12,000 in monthly income. Third, a capable daughter-in-law who could take care of the family. And lastly, Jasper might never find another wife like Stella. Mom, what do you think we should do? Jasper asked. Stella gave us 1 week to think. Think about what? Think about our attitude, Jasper said. If we still treat her as an outsider, she'll really leave. Then what do you want me to do? Apologize to her, Jasper said, looking at his mother. Admit that what we did that day was wrong. You want me to apologize to her? Gertrude hesitated. I'm the elder. Mom, even elders should apologize when they're wrong, Jasper replied. And think about it. If you don't, how much will we lose? Gertrude thought about it. Over $1 million, no small sum. And losing a daughter-in-law who could earn money would be a huge blow to the family. Mom, I know it's hard for you to swallow your pride, Jasper said. But for our family's future, you have to do this. Gertrude hesitated for a long time, then finally nodded. All right, I'll go see her. Mom, are you really willing to apologize? For the sake of our family, I am, Gertrude said. But she has to come back and stop making trouble. Mom, she's not the one making trouble, Jasper said quietly. We're the ones who did wrong. Fine, it's all our fault. Gertrude stood up. I'll go see her right now. Mom, wait. What? You have to apologize sincerely, Jasper said firmly. No half-hearted apologies. I know. Gertrude nodded. I'll apologize properly. And you need to change your attitude towards Stella in the future. What attitude? Treat her like family, not an outsider, Jasper said. Let her feel the warmth of home. I understand. Gertrude took a deep breath. I'll change. But deep down, she knew this apology wasn't just about winning Stella back. More importantly, she had finally realized how badly she had misjudged Stella's value. The daughter-in-law she had always looked down on was, in fact, indispensable to this family. And one careless remark of hers had nearly cost the family its most valuable asset. Now, she finally understood what it meant to be truly stunned. She wasn't frightened by Stella's decisiveness. She was frightened by her own foolishness. She had almost destroyed her son's marriage and this family's future with her stubbornness and prejudice. Staring at the documents on the coffee table, Gertrude realized for the first time just how serious her mistake was. The outsider she had spoken of was actually the most important person in this family, and she had nearly pushed that person away.